Hi, everybody. Hi, Christine. Yeah, I know, the dam broke. I'll get into that. Cecilia Amarati, Barbarous Angel, Air Supremacy, hello. Massive snowfall in SoCal. More massive snowfall is coming to SoCal. Mike Luft, hello. Mystic Earth, Rage Against the Machine, Mick Brown. Hi, everybody. Eli D, Pizza Guy. Hypocrites Matrix. Echo Twin Systems, hello. And Sherry and Marty, thank you very, 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 very much. Sherry, I hope your puppy is okay. Wild at Heart, hello. Barb in Ohio. Lots going on in Ohio. Stardust Freenet, hello. Donald Beretta, Sith Trish. Hi, guys. The Airbnb folks. The Airbnb folks are here for the weekend. And so is the Flaming Liberal. Can't believe the only person that I have met here, the only person I've met, is someone who lives in a house that I can actually see from here. Within 5 minutes, she identifies as a Flaming Liberal. Tribulation Now, Nikki O'Connor. Silent Walk. Hi, everybody. What is wrong with him, Sherry? It's hard to wait for the answer. My computer has been quite slow today. Don't know what's going on or why. This chat is slow. Once somebody puts in a comment, it should come up automatically, right? Hey, Adam S. Glad you found this channel as well. Patrick Kerr. What up, homegirl? Life has changed. They lied about Wormingham. Okay. Storms in Alabama got blown all to hell, I know. Storms here were pretty intense. And today it was sunny. All day. And it's supposed to be sunny all day tomorrow. It's like, wow. Cool. We get a nice weekend. Wow. I can't stand how slow this chat is. Maybe nobody's writing anything. Hey, Tammy Harris. How's Ohio for you? Well, another train derailment in Ohio. In Ohio. Let's see. Where is it? Springfield, Ohio.
This is going to go well beyond just attack this afternoon. This is going to be a bruising primary. It's going to be going to Iowa, essentially from the more than 1 week from.
I don't think she realized, or he realized, that the positioning of his camera. But yeah, another one. Here, Springfield train derailment.
We have an update to that train derailment in Springfield we told you about at the top of the hour. This is a live look at that derailment. State Route 40 and Interstate 70 is closed. Burke Road is also closed. Officials say the train was not a passenger train, and right now it's unknown if anything was on the train at the time of the derailment. We're continuing to learn more information. We'll keep you updated both on air.
Continuing to learn more information. Let's see. Springfield hazmat, large emergency response on scene of train derailment near Clark County Fairgrounds. Well, it's a small screen. I'll enlarge it, but we can listen and see what's happening. Breaking news, train derailment, Ohio.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tori McGee. We begin with breaking news tonight. News Center 7 has learned a train has derailed in Clark County. Now, this happened within the last hour in the area of State Route 41 and Gateway in Springfield. You can see it's near the Aldi Distribution Center and Hamilton's Market. Now, here's a look at some video from Eyewitness 7 reporters. Deputies have confirmed they are on scene. News Center 7's Taylor Robertson just got there just a few minutes ago. Taylor, what are you seeing there?
Tori, we're outside on South Charleston and Gateway Boulevard, and as you can see behind me, this train has derailed. Clark County Sheriff's Office confirmed that it derailed around 5 p.m. today. It is unclear if there are any hazardous materials, but we do have confirmed that there are hazmat crews just on the other side of that train right now. Springfield Township fire crews are out here, Clark County Sheriff's Office, Ohio State Highway Patrol. They're all here monitoring the situation. We are working to learn if there are any hazardous materials and if there would be an evacuation notice coming up. I'll have that for you at 11. Reporting in Springfield, Taylor Robertson, News Center 7.
Found at least a half a dozen states to some degree are now considering legislation to make boarding.
Sorry. Might be painful for you. Yeah. Oh, I live about 25 miles from East Palestine, north. Shit. Oh, wow, Tammy. You might want to go to your other house. Away from there, because it's bad. I posted a video on Rumble, which I will show you and leave the link. It's bad. And no, it's not just contained to that 1 mile radius, the evacuation zone. No. We are being so destroyed. It's really pretty amazing. In fact, I want you to listen to a few of the residents in East Palestine, and this was recent. See how slow my computer is now?
Ohio, and I feel like the people down there are being forgotten. And the creek that they are talking about so much, Leslie Run, runs all the way around our town. And our water table is at around 65 feet. We don't have city water down there. We have well water. And if that stuff would happen to get into that water table, everybody's water down there is going to be ruined. And they just seem to be ignoring us.
Mm-hmm. How far away is this from here?
About 3 miles,
Oh,
3.5
so it's not
miles.
very far.
It's not very far. We all have to come to school up here. All the kids come to school to East Palestine.
What do you think about Norfolk Southern and their whole response to this?
I think they're being slow about it and ignorant about it because I don't think people should actually be back in their houses yet. I really don't. I don't believe that much in the EPA because of what we have went through the past few years. They put a dump in right in the middle of our town, and they were supposed to fix our wells if our wells went bad. And you can't drink the water down there. We've been having to buy bottled water for a long time, ever since the dump went in. And for the longest time, they were bringing in whatever they wanted, and it was supposed to be a construction dump. The EPA never stopped them. As a matter of fact, they just gave them another permit to open it back up again. I mean, it's right in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now with this happening, now we're getting hit with both barrels, just like across the line in Pennsylvania. Darlington, that cloud went over them people too. Bessemer, Enon Valley. I mean, them people all got hit too. And they tried to make it sound like it didn't go very far, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
It went a good ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that these companies are just cared about their profits? They don't care about people's safety or
No, that's just the way it is because that train, they could clearly see that train was on fire clear over in Salem. I mean, when it came through Salem, it was on fire then. And I just have a hard time believing that they couldn't get it stopped before it come through town.
She goes to school here. She has no future.
Why do you say she has no future?
Because you don't know what the long-term effects are.
Mm-hmm.
And all the money in the world isn't going to fix that kid.
Right.
You know? You can't buy her new organs. If that should be... I mean, I don't even know that's going to happen. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it over with. I want it all to just pass, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
You know, our houses are worthless. I live right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbors have left.
Mm-hmm.
So she came and picked up her cash today. She's gone. The other neighbor's gone. The people, I live right across the street from where it happened. That's where I work. And I seen realtors over there today. Those people up and left.
So people are already leaving your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. And nobody can fix it.
Right.
They can throw money around everybody. It's not going to fix it. I have a 14-year-old. She goes to school here.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
What do you feel about the railroad and all they care about is
That should have checked it out because it was burning in Salem.
Yeah, it was burning when it went through Salem. There's pictures of it.
right.
And from Freshmark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they would have stopped and would have derailed, this wouldn't happen. The safety violations, I'm fed up with the safety violations of everything. I'm a nurse and so I know what this stuff causes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. You live pretty close to the site, or?
Within between a quarter and a half a mile.
Mm-hmm. So what happened when the train wrecked? Were you home at the time? Or?
My daughter was, and I was just on the other side of town. I left immediately to go get her, and we headed out of town because I knew it wasn't going to be good. Didn't know what the train was carrying, but Leaks gas station was right there. I knew, get out.
Must have been pretty scary being away
Very
from
scary.
home and not knowing what was
I'm
going
still
on.
not home. Still not home. It's not safe. The water. People's breaking out in rashes. Nope, don't need that.
Yeah. So you don't believe the claims that the water's safe and the air is
No.
safe now?
How many times have they said that? No. My eyes are burning. My daughter, she can't go in the house. It's burning. I've had the air quality check. They said it's fine. Why is our eyes burning?
What do you think about the railroad company, and their disregard for safety?
Understaffed. They knew it was an issue. They're back in Salem. Why did they not stop it and put it out sooner? It was clear that it was running hot. The safety was horrible. Horrible. No need for what happened if they would have just stopped. They put how many people's lives at jeopardy? For what? A couple bucks? They already got a couple bucks.
Yeah.
They didn't need that.
But that's all they care about,
It'll cost them now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it'll cost people's lives too, eventually.
Well, Leslie Run runs through our backyard.
And it's contaminated.
So all the fish are dead, everything are dead, and our well is about 30 feet from the stream.
So you're worried about your water?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. When it happened, we had all kind of smell, sore throats, headaches, and from it,
Still get headaches. We evacuated, but when we came home, the smell, it must have come through our chimney because the house was full. You couldn't breathe. And the main thing is the creek. I saw 3 kids in it on Sunday. There's nothing marked. There's no signs. It's not caution, no caution tape saying it's contaminated.
Just stay away from the water,
Right.
And it's pretty bad because now our house is worth nothing.
Then you pay $1,600 in taxes for the year, but it's not worth nothing. They give you the tax value and you pay on it, but
And they keep raising it.
Yeah. One of the things that, we've pointed out is that, they've cut a lot of the regulations over the years for railroad safety, and things like the brakes or even vinyl chloride used to be what they called the type 1, and they lowered it down to a type 2 hazard.
See, we don't know none of that stuff. All we know is the train goes through one direction or the other about every 15 minutes. It's supposed to be 35, I think, through town, and they're doing 55, at night. Daytime they go slower, but at night they go a lot faster.
So you think they've been not very safe then?
Oh, no, I don't think it's safe at all. No.
No, of course not. Of course not. All right, so the train derailment in Springfield. Another one. Ohio, they are definitely just doing a number on you guys. It's incredibly sad, to say the least. Yeah, I'm going to play just a few minutes of this video, and I will again link to the channel. Get over there and subscribe because they're doing an incredible job with East Palestine in particular.
Hey everybody, Lewis here from Status Coup. We are currently standing in front of the Assistance Center just outside of East Palestine that is being run by Norfolk Southern. Folks in the front of this line have been waiting since 5:30 this morning. It is almost 9 a.m. right now because they are concerned about the number of people that are being let in here each day for reimbursals on expenses like hotels and whatnot, as well as the kind of $1,000 checks that people have been hearing about in the news lately. This line stretches back quite a ways. We're hearing reports that they're only letting in roughly 200 people per day. Seems a little crazy when you've got a town of 5,000 residents. Some things I've been hearing from folks here in line, as well as from folks I've been talking to on the phone, is it seems interesting that a $1 billion company couldn't set up a website for these people. It's chilly out this morning, and folks are having to take hours out of their day to come stand in a line. The folks who show up later, very well are going to be turned away. We're going to be talking with folks in this line here, and we'll get to that right now. Hey guys, Lewis here with Status Coup. We're outside of the Assistance Center, just outside of East Palestine, that's set up by Norfolk Southern. You can see here, folks are standing in line here. They've been lined up since in the very front as early as 5:30 this morning. The doors on the sign says that it opens at 10. Dennis got here about a half an hour or so ago, which would have put us at around 8:30. I guess what has this whole process been like for you, having to jump through hoops to come do this? And can you just kind of explain what's going on here?
I really don't know yet. I came yesterday and they closed early Sunday. So I'm just here today to collect $1,000 because I live in the zip code of East Palestine. And, that's a little bit of some money that'll help us in the long run.
And yesterday when you got here, were they just closed, or there's been some sort of cap on the number of people who are able to come in a day? Is that something you've got experience with?
That's what they told me yesterday, but I was here about 2:30 yesterday afternoon and it was closed. They weren't doing anything with anybody.
Gotcha. And just to be clear, the sign on the door for Sunday, which was yesterday, says that it's supposed to close at 4 p.m. And we've been hearing folks, showing up during the week. It's supposed to be open later. They're showing up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, being turned away, and there's, only letting maybe 200 or so people come in. Seems like there could be a better system. Have you heard anything about another way to go ahead and do this, or is the idea to make everyone stand out in the cold?
I guess this is how everybody knows it from this area. You stand in lines if you want food giveaways or anything. You stand in line early. You get here early, and like I said, this is my first process of doing this. I was here yesterday about 2:30 in the afternoon. There was a guy in there, but they weren't doing anything with anybody. They weren't helping anybody yesterday at all.
And I also heard this medical center they set up for medical assistance. Again, people standing online, getting very little assistance. They're being so jerked around. That's the way we roll here in our fabulous country. So let me put the link down to Status Coup News. Here you go. It's in the chat. I recommend subscribing. It's truly unbelievable what is happening. Let me take you through just a wee bit more. Now, I posted this on my channel earlier today.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh my God. This is fucking insane. This is insane. Oh my God.
Fucking blind.
Are these people out of their houses,
No idea.
So this is a truck that exploded. It was a gas tanker truck. Exploded in, Frederick, Maryland. Wow, they are really bringing an awful lot of toxic air to your neck of the woods here. Wow. Wow. All right, so Cincinnati, Ohio today. Multiple fire departments are battling a massive 6-alarm fire in Cincinnati. As reports say, a fire broke out at a commercial building warehouse that is believed to be abandoned, spreading to a second building as more firefighter units arrive on the scene. Look at this.
Is that more people still in the building center? The reliable pit? Whatever they were. Because they backed up to this dock to unload their shit all the time. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. It's made it all bad.
Wow. They have a lot of people to move about in Ohio. Get them moved out, get them into, their 15-minute smart neighborhood. Buying up homes. Norfolk Southern has already been offering to buy homes in East Palestine. But look, the toxins are really pretty amazing in our atmosphere. So, EPA head admits kids should be nowhere near East Palestine. Nowhere near the water. And you just heard that woman and her husband talk about how she saw 3 kids in the stream a couple of days ago. There's no signs up there warning of what's happening. Wow, the aftermath of the freight train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio persists with residents and rail workers reporting illnesses. Of course, well, look, any government official could give a shit about the criticism that they receive, as well as anybody working for Norfolk Southern. Wow. So, earlier this week, EPA Administrator Michael Regan visited East Palestine. Mr. Commissioner, let me ask you really quick, would you allow your children to touch the water? We've seen the rainbow sheen. We've seen all these chemicals popping up from the bottom of the streams that these kids used to play in. Would you allow your kids anywhere close to these streams right now? His response, I would not. I'm a father of a 9-year-old. I think we have to all agree we wish this accident didn't occur, but the accident occurred, and as a result, some of our creeks and streams have pollution in them. Okay, so, admission, the water is toxic and dangerous. Okay, I posted this on my Rumble account, and I'm going to drop the link. And there it is. And I think everybody should watch it and circulate it. East Palestine, Ohio is far more toxic than residents are being told. Kids need to be removed. Okay, a very interesting, I'm just going to play a few minutes.
Understanding that the parallel in dioxin is whenever someone says there's a safe level, there's your scam.
At dioxin.
The other total of 9.
At dioxin and. Hello, Eric Coppolino. Welcome back as one of my favourite guests to the show. You are an investigative journalist, a world-famous astrologer in a lot of people's opinions, and also one of, I'd think, a bloodhound for truth. Would that be fair?
Got it. Yeah, I'm a curious person, and once I get on the trail of something, I need to go all the way. So yes, truffle hound, I call myself.
Truffle.
I'm gonna find those truffles.
Love it. Well, Eric, we are talking today, as you know, about dioxin, and you are one of the foremost experts in terms of having investigated this before. And I just wanted to give a bit of a background for the audience, if you could, about, for people that don't know, what has been happening, a very suppressed story in Ohio and East Palestine with a train derailment. Could you talk about what's been happening?
Yeah, so the very short version of the story is that on February 3rd, the night of February 3rd at about 8:54 p.m. local time, there was a train derailment, and the train contained a lot of different things. It was a 150-car train. I guess 30 some odd cars derailed, but among the ones that derailed were several carrying a chemical called vinyl chloride monomer. So this is it's a chlorinated substance that is a liquid up till 46 degrees, then it boils at 46 degrees. So it has to be kept cold and pressurized, and then there were additional 4 of one, 5 of the other, total of 9 cars involving chlorinated products that were not considered hazardous materials. And this was bins of PVC, which is what you make out of vinyl chloride monomer. So they were plastic, essentially tiny plastic pellets that are stable, that are not considered hazardous materials. The problem is that, first of all, the railroad made the decision to burn these tanker cars full of vinyl chloride monomer. And from what I'm reading today, they did this behind the back of the coordinated response. So these are criminal acts that have been committed. And if I were the Attorney General of Pennsylvania and Ohio, I'd be issuing arrest warrants for these people. So the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor John Shapiro, has said this was done behind the backs of people now, of the coordinated response, right? There was no coordination with local and state and federal authorities. Even though they had been alerted and there was a coordinated response going on, they'd made the decision to dump and burn these chemicals. I can't imagine how that happened. I don't have, like a lot of things, at the initial part of the virus issue, for example, I didn't have a file for there is no virus, but they're acting like one. I also didn't have a space in my mind for the railroad goes behind the back of the coordinated response and dumps chlorinated compounds and then throws a flare into the pit. Now, many other train cars burned, and here's where I'm really concerned. Dioxin is a trace contaminant, so it doesn't take much. I'll get into how toxic it is in a minute or two. But it's toxic to the molecular level. It's the thing we should be worried about instead of viruses. Yeah. And all this time, everybody perseverating over viruses, I'm like, where's the discussion of dioxin? We've got a chemical that's far worse than anyone claims any virus is. And that's been my primary field of investigative reporting is chlorine-based chemicals, including dioxin and PCBs and herbicides. Dioxins are 2 hexagonal rings called benzene rings.
Yeah.
And then they have an oxygen at either end here, and then chlorine around the outside in the diagram. And this makes them extremely toxic down to the molecular level. And they're formed when chlorinated chemicals are being processed, like in the factory. They form in the production of pulp and paper mills. So paper effluent outflow from paper mills, which flows into rivers where fish live and where people eat the fish and drink the water, all have dioxin contamination in them. This was established by the federal government sometime in the late 1980s in a survey of dioxin sources. And they are combustion byproducts when chlorinated chemicals are burned.
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem here was that the vinyl chloride was burned, the PVC cars burned, so we've got 9 cars of chlorinated compounds burning, and then you've got cars of things like wheat burning and frozen vegetables. Those are all basically are or contain hydrocarbons. It's just basically various configurations of hydrogen and carbon. Right, carbohydrate, hydrocarbon, same basic concept. And so when you've got all this chlorine being made available in the combustion process and it's in a gaseous state, and then you've got all these hydrocarbons burning, you're going to have dioxins formed. And that means that all of the non-hazmat cars that burned became hazmat because there was chlorine burning in the vicinity. Now, as far as how toxic this is, there is no safe level that's ever been seen. It's measured in femtograms, billionths of a gram. It's measured billionths of a gram. Think about this. A gram is the weight of a paper clip. So imagine a small one. Imagine dividing a gram into a billion pieces. That's how it's measured. And the EPA knows, and the FDA and all these people know, that there's no safe dose because any dose is bioactive and it concentrates. I'll get to that in a moment. The EPA pretends there's a lifetime safe dose. If you take one aspirin tablet at 325 milligrams and you divide it into basically 32,100,000 pieces, one of those pieces is considered by the EPA falsely to be the safe lifetime dose of dioxin. Okay, 1/32 millionth of an aspirin tablet weight of dioxin. That means that the entire United States of America's population's so-called safe lifetime dose can be contained in the weight of 5 aspirin tablets. So 10. So there's no 32 million times 10 is 320 million. There's no wrapping your mind around a contaminant like that.
It's incredibly toxic. And it
incredibly
was
toxic.
Agent Orange,
yes.
Is that right?
Well, yes, it was a byproduct of Agent Orange. It was a byproduct of the manufacturing process of hexachlorophene and of santophene and of PCBs. There's a related set of compounds called dibenzofurans, which are basically dioxins just with one oxygen. So they're like kind of like dioxin means two, one oxygen is called a furan. Those are created too. And when I get to the testing protocols needed, those need to be tested for. The government was producing Agent Orange using chemical contractors. They were producing all these chlorinated chemicals, and certainly after 1949, everyone knew what the problem was. And it explains the sickness in many people, in workers in particular, in the 20s and 30s, in companies like Swan Chemical and Haloax. Particular Haloax was studied by Harvard, where they were getting these systemic effects that were unlikely to be as a result of the intended product, wax, dielectric substance to make electrical insulation, but actually were caused by the contaminants in the substance, as well as molecules in the substance that mimic the contaminant. So 209 isomers and congeners of PCBs, for example, those were used for electrical insulation, and there's still plenty in the electrical grid. And some of those, they're all toxic, but some act just like dioxin because the molecule is coplanar.
What does that
mean?
It
It means it's flat.
Okay.
It means the molecule is flat and it can therefore slip into certain receptors, endocrine receptors, and it doesn't ever break down. So one of the problems with this stuff is it is incredibly durable to the point of being put through an incinerator. It's not really destroyed. Maybe the incinerators make more.
I did read.
And many, I have heard, have said they needed to cool it down, not throw a flare and blow it up. So it sounds deliberate, doesn't it? It sounds deliberate. That's a wonderful video. I really hope I stopped it at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Listen to it. A lot of very good information. He talks about a town in Missouri that town had to be relocated. There is so much going on in our country. So much has been going on in our country for decades. And we now are, it's all in our face every single day. For sure, people should be saying, something's wrong. You would think. So, a dam broke? Here, from our organizer in East Palestine, the dam constructed to hold back toxic waste has broken after today's heavy rain and the area is flooding. Wow. Okay. So, all of those toxins are now just rushing through the broken dam and entering with a more concentrated, level of, well, probably dioxins. And our EPA has come out and said they are ordering Norfolk Southern to conduct dioxin tests. Okay, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? The culprit has been ordered to test. All right. We're never going to get anywhere unless Americans unite. Oh. And that would take a true miracle. East Palestine community demands relocation for anyone who wants it, independent environmental testing, but you can't let your government decide who is going to be the independent tester. That's the problem. And testing dioxins, I learned, very expensive. Very expensive. So I can't imagine any individual, maybe a few, could afford to do that independent testing for dioxins in the environment. But, could people maybe, chip in to do the independent testing? You cannot let government or corporations do any of this because you're not going to get the truth. Ongoing medical testing and monitoring. Well, that's unfortunate because the medical system is just completely and utterly it's been ruined. Dispose of the toxic waste safely, and Norfolk Southern pays 100% of the cost. They should pay 100% of the cost of the independent testing that you all choose. You choose, not the EPA, and not Norfolk Southern. That's how it should be. All right, so this is huge. I was going to follow this, but I can't, not after reading this. This is huge. Because of community pressure and demands, the EPA will now require Norfolk Southern to test for dioxins. You want the EPA to order Norfolk Southern to test? And then they go on saying, this is why we organize. Coming together and demanding action is the only way we will create change and get what our community needs. Okay, obviously this person actually believes the test results that will come back from Norfolk Southern. What is wrong with people? All right. Again, Tim Truth. I will link below to this video. And good, it just made it in terms of the character numbers. But I'm just going to play a few minutes. The link is in the chat. You can watch the whole thing, and hopefully some of you will circulate the information.
Oh shoot, here we go. EPA is requiring Norfolk Southern to test for dioxins. As predicted on this channel, you can always tell where they're going by looking at what they're prepping people for. And the reverse psychology, and the problem reaction solution. WKBN is reporting EPA requiring Norfolk Southern to test for dioxins. Basically, they're saying if dioxins are found at an actionable level, that the EPA will direct immediate cleanup of the area. Folks, this is a land grab. This is all rigged.
That's if they come back stating that the test results actually do show dioxins and it's toxic. So which way is it going to go? Will they come back with false results and claim the area is safe? Or will they come back and say, sorry, dioxins are here. This is very toxic. Move on. Move on. we will relocate you. Well, any of you who have certainly been a subscriber of mine for years understands the shuffling about of population, Agenda 2030, and get them into these smart cities. And yeah, land grabs for sure.
This is not a drill, folks. This is not a drill. They're coming for the land. They want to slap those liens on everybody. Folks, this is a total land grab. They want to invoke CERCLA, and they were trying to manufacture consent. Now, I don't know how successful they were. I don't think it went quite the way they wanted it to, in terms of people clamoring for their own enslavement, demanding that the EPA dole out their eco-fascism. But this is not a good direction. Again, WKBN 27 is reporting that the EPA is saying Norfolk Southern test for dioxins. And remember, dioxin means 2 oxygen. 2 oxygens. This is like the beginning of COVID again, including the conservatives going right along with it. We need to fight against this land grab. We need to fight against these windfall liens. Fight against the Superfund BS. Yeah, it sounds great. The Superfund is coming and they're going to clean us up. Nothing could be further from the truth.
And, you know, if you have listened to Tim Truth, his recent videos, he went through documents that show that the EPA puts liens on property if it's poisonous, and the EPA comes in and cleans up. Still the lien on the property, because you've got to pay them back for the cleanup, and selling of the home. If you have any kind of profit coming from the cleanup, then the EPA takes that profit. I mean, wow, our government has been so screwing, well, for my entire life. My entire life. I'm 64. They have been screwing us royally. Now it's in our face, and still we sit back and do nothing. That's the horror of this show. But this Tim Truth video was very interesting, and I'm going to link to it because I'm only going to play a few minutes of it. There's an awful lot in every disaster.
There are a number of unsolved mysteries, very peculiar mysteries, when it comes to the East Palestine train derailment, the train crash. But one of the most mysterious is the pre-placed orange car that just happened to be sitting right next to where the train would crash. And both this pre-placed car and where the train would crash correspond directly, it seems, with Sulphur Run, which feeds into the Ohio River. In this video, I'm going to show you what I found as far as this mysterious orange car. Please share this everywhere, because the more eyes we have on this, the more researchers we have looking into this, the higher the probability that we find the answers that we're looking for. The pre-placed orange car, which happened to align right with the first cars caught up in the crash, which also aligned right with the Sulphur Run waterway, which feeds into the Ohio River, and then later the Mississippi River, and then the Gulf of Mexico. We can see this car engulfed in flames, fiercely burning. But why was this car here in the first place? And what are the odds that it's sitting right next to where this train crash would happen for months and months and months? And let's not forget the movie White Noise, which just came out and also seemed to have predicted this crash. Why was this car full of flammable material, seemingly, allowing it to catch fire? This makes no sense. I was able to find it on Google Earth, July 2022. And another data set shows it before the crash as well. And it lines up right with where this burning car is in respect to the train crash. Right next to the train crash. How does this make any sense? So let's dive into the mystery of the pre-placed orange car. The first cars left after the train crash were strewn right in front of these 2 drainage pipes, which are a pretty rare occurrence as far as these tracks go. I scrolled and panned along these railroad tracks for a while, and I couldn't find another example of these types of drainage pipes. And they seemingly connect with this reservoir, as you can see in this photo. So why would they have left this car right next to the tracks, in a position that would correspond directly with the East Palestine train crash? Very, very peculiar. So I found 2 archives of satellite photos.
All right, so the link is in the chat. You can watch the entire video. Hopefully you will circulate it. And I do want to point out, once again, when people say, get outside, walk around barefoot, please get this. Gwen Towers now litter the United States all over. If you're walking around barefoot and you're in close proximity to a Gwen Tower that emits extremely low frequencies into the atmosphere, but also through the ground, you are harming yourself. So, you might want to go on Google Earth, which I can't get on my computer for some reason now, and search your area for Gwen Towers, which are different from cell towers. And I've posted on Gwen Towers so many videos. The Gwen Tower is the very, very high singular antenna with copper wires coming down into the ground. That's where they're emitting those extremely low frequencies through the ground. So if you have that in your area, don't walk around barefoot. I posted a video on the military had contracted out a study on the dangers of Gwen Towers. And in that study, it said the worst position a human being could put themselves in is barefoot around a Gwen Tower. Also understand this. The radius of those extremely low frequencies is 300 miles. Okay? So, check it out. Please, everybody, when you're telling people to go out and walk barefoot, I got burned. That's how I learned. Because I was walking around barefoot in Massachusetts, in Great Barrington, around a Gwen Tower. And I literally would come home, my legs would be swollen, and I would have burns right up to above my kneecap on my legs. Very dangerous. So please, when you're telling people to walk around barefoot, then tell them, but first, check out if there is a Gwen Tower in your area, because a whole lot of them are hiding in the woods. All right, so, interesting, isn't it? So he finds
Which
that,
help?
Let's see, drainage pipes, right where a reservoir is, and either right near the train crash or very close by. Okay, not good. Baltimore, Maryland. It's truly amazing what is taking place. These extremely low frequencies weaken the structure, the infrastructure, the structure of homes, the structure of buildings when they're emitting these extremely low frequencies. So a car crashes into a brick building and it crumbles, and one person died. So the economic conditions are not good, and it is unfortunate that a whole lot of people, I guess, believe the horseshit that we hear. Why is the U.S. economy suddenly deteriorating so rapidly all around us? Well, Michael Schneider knows because he's been writing on this for years and years. Tuesday, we learned that consumer confidence has now fallen for 2 straight months in 2023. What does that mean? Less spending. Less spending, which means a worsening of our economy. U.S. consumers are planning to do far less spending in the months ahead. Home sales could go down even more. Yes. A new housing crash has begun. U.S. home prices have now declined for 6 months in a row. Prominent subprime auto lender in the entire country just collapsed, American Car Center. And all of those employees, you're out of a job. Told employees the business was closing its doors just 1 day after the company had hoped to pull off a funding Hail Mary by selling 222 million bonds. And it failed. So 288 people are out of work. The dominoes are certainly starting to tumble. Oh, yes. And I think an awful lot of people, perhaps even some in this chat, think that economy, well, the crash, whatever is going to be happening, it's going to be, if it happens in 2023, it'll be the latter end of 2023. Things are happening so fast. What's happening with this war in Ukraine, it's coming. So here, at least things in the U.S. are still better than they are over in Europe. Okay, so just feel better. Because things are better in Europe. I mean, worse in Europe. So that should make you feel okay while you're struggling to pay your bills. Ooh, all right, well, that's what you hear a lot from Biden himself. He has come out and said, things are much worse in Europe. Why should that matter for Americans that are struggling and going off the financial cliff? All right, but things are pretty bad in Europe. Consumers in the UK literally fighting over cucumbers. As the nationwide rationing of fruits and vegetables start to become extremely painful, and that rationing is only going to spread. It's going to get very wide, and the rationing is not just going to hit those Brits and Scots and some Irish and the Welsh, but also other Westerners like Americans. Food prices in the UK continue to spiral completely out of control. Yes, we're facing a global crisis that is orchestrated, deliberate. Economic conditions all over the planet will deteriorate in the months ahead. And so I would encourage you to brace yourself for a tremendous amount of economic turbulence. A moment of reckoning is here, and every man, woman, and child on the entire planet will feel the pain, and it's going to hurt. So, what's happening with that war? Russia says it suspended the New START treaty because the U.S. helped Ukraine attack strategic sites. Americans can't see how we, the U.S., are keeping this war going and inflaming tensions with Russia. Now, I always have to preface this. Whatever I say about this war, Russia is involved with the deliberate staging of this war. That doesn't mean that the war, in fact, is false. There's a lot of videos that show the cameras are right there, and it's obviously staged what's happening. That does not mean that a whole lot of people haven't died, and it does not mean that a whole lot of Ukrainians are not suffering the consequences. So when you see the staged thing, don't think that that's the entire war, okay? So coming out of the START treaty, that is big. That is big. But all the talk about nuclear war, are we going to see that? And also understand this, and I've posted on this. A patent that they can simulate a nuclear bomb going off without radiation. If they did that, it would scare the shit out of everybody. But there wouldn't be any radiation that would affect the environment, but people wouldn't know that. They could hit them with a whole lot of frequencies and develop a whole lot of symptoms, and in fact even kill people close to that simulated nuclear bomb going off. And they'll believe that, they've been hit with radiation. Will they do that? It's a scenario that they could pull off. So we are now giving another $400 million in arms to Ukraine in the hopes to stave off Russia's takeover of Bakhmut. Really? Okay. So Russia is winning this war. Don't care what you hear from mainstream media. Don't care what you hear from Biden administration. What we are hearing is that the Ukrainians are winning the war. So why are we sending more and more and more military equipment and the billions and billions and billions of dollars if they're winning? That doesn't make sense. Okay, nothing makes sense today. So another package off to Zelensky. NATO has said that the 50 billion euros in aid to Ukraine, it's far from satisfying, and urges allies to boost the aid to Ukraine. What the hell are we all doing? Americans and Europeans alike. What are we doing here? Don't we want to demand oversight at least for this money? Or how about stop fueling this war that is destroying all of our lives, even without the bombs dropping on us? It was Putin that raised the gas prices here in America. It was Putin that caused the inflation. It's the Ukrainian war that is causing all of the problems that we're all now living. Nord Stream 2, the United States terrorist organization, blew that up. Europeans now are spending an awful lot more money on energy because they lack the natural gas from that pipeline. So our leaders continue to fuel this war that is so outraged, the lies about it was Putin, the madman, who invaded Ukraine. And people can't seem to understand, even with a very clear analogy. Let's say, Russia came into Mexico and was coming closer and closer to the border of the United States. Do you think we might do something? Well, that is essentially what was taking place. NATO's expansion towards Russia. That's what started the pushback with Russia. And if nobody knows what happened in 2014, when the United States had a successful coup in Ukraine, and we put our puppet into the presidency of Ukraine then. Oh my God, I can't stand it because it's so simple to understand, and we are just letting ourselves be destroyed. So I think, the suicidal ideation of an awful lot, and I'll speak to only Americans, we've got it, boy, going. Now, you might not be conscious of your suicidal ideation, but if you're sitting around doing nothing, you're suicidal. And listen to this. I mean, this piece of work. The head of USAID And I've posted videos on USAID, it is entirely corrupt, and it goes into countries and it literally just steals from those countries and it destroys those countries. And this has been going on forever. And it's so sad to me that these evil shitheads are still running the show.
Values and interests so core to the United States. I mean, imagine just wanting your freedom and your independence. I mean, this country is predicated on exactly those two values. Imagine the counterfactual, where we walk away or we didn't show up in the first place. And what that would mean when a dictator who has shut down civil society, shut down independent media, shut down dissenting voices in his own country, then can just turn his sights on a neighbor and with impunity take over that country. I mean, what would that mean for our allies in Europe? What would that mean for our own security over time? So I think, Americans understand bullies and the importance of standing up to bullies. At the same time, again, we're very alert to the risks, given that Russia is a nuclear armed power, as you rightly say. But that is, again, how we are in the position that we are in now, building a coalition of countries coming together, making sure that this isn't just the United States and Russia, that this, in fact, is Ukrainians on the front lines, Ukrainians doing the fighting, and a coalition of 50 countries rallying behind them, and including actually today, more than 140 countries at the UN signaling still a year into the war their support for Ukraine. I mean, what would that...
Did you hear what she said? It's the U.S. against Russia, and the Ukrainians are doing the fighting. All right. Oh, man. Yeah, Putin's the bully. And we Americans, we're just so exceptional and the moral superior. You can, do you feel it? I can feel it. I can feel how superior we are as Americans. How many countries have we taken over? This is so sickening. It is truly sickening to listen to these people, that they still have, that they're still on stage, that they're still in positions of power, reflects upon the American people. It is, okay, we're talking China, we're talking Russia. Yeah, we're going to fight Russia, we're going to fight China. Really. More than 75% of Americans age 17 to 24 aren't fit for military service. Obesity is the big problem. And by the way, Americans, the American population, 42% is obese. Did you hear that? 42% is obese. Something wrong here? So they are not physically fit to even bother to protect us. And the abject corruption and criminal activity going on in high places in the United States is so in our face now that once again, that the American people are not doing anything about it and not screaming about it is really, well, what do you say? Hunter Biden linked to Chinese military firm helping Russia fight Ukraine. Do you really think that these people care who will win the war? They don't give a shit. They make an awful lot of money. Oh my God. I've lived this my entire life. Sorry. I never bought into the exceptionalism or the moral superiority of the American people. I just didn't. I always found that rather fascinating, how many Americans are rather delusional with that thought. So, Hunter Biden's investment firm, BHR Partners, did business with a CCP-owned military company that's now sending fighter jet parts to a sanctioned Russian defense conglomerate, thus assisting the Kremlin in the war against Ukraine. And you did hear, right, our government officials come out and say that, oh, talk about hypocrisy. They were slamming China for the possibility of sending any military equipment to help Russia. How does that work? When NATO, European countries, the United States, almost several times a month sends billions in military equipment to Ukraine. So China can't send military equipment to Russia? I'm sorry. The toxicity is not just in the water and air and food. It's in the people. The well-adjusted to a disturbed society. Slow computer tonight. Oh, here.
And while I'm still committed to saying no money to Ukraine, and that country needs to find peace, not war, and while I will look at a camera and directly tell Zelensky, you better leave your hands off of our sons and daughters because they're not dying over there. And while
So Zelensky did come out and say, this is NATO and Americans, will have to fight this war. Okay. Boy, an actor sure does have the stage, the world stage, to order everybody about. That seems a little odd, doesn't it? Ford files for patent that can remotely shut down parts of your car when your bill isn't paid. Yay! Well, that's a faster way to do things than sending out the tow trucks, I guess. A $150,000 executive protection dog. The rich LA homeowners are snapping them up. They are buying German Shepherds and Dobermans and other breeds to protect their families and their property. And they're spending an awful lot on the training of these beautiful, beautiful dogs. So if you have $150,000, go for it. Auditors are finding millions in mishandled COVID-era education funds. Okay, this goes on and on and on and on. The pandemic funds that went out to help struggling small businesses and going to corporations and going to Hollywood stars and going every which way. I have posted videos on the abject corruption that was taking place, and it just goes on and on. And do you think that this might have an effect on the economy? It does. And we do nothing about any of this corruption. Nothing. And it's been going on. And now it's so out there, they don't even care about any of us. They just speak, and I'm not talking about just the Democrats, Republicans as well. I mean, it's astounding how much is going on in this country. And to look at the apathy, it is heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. So, let's see, 10 shocking public freakouts that will have you shaking your head. I don't know.
Everybody turn their video on. I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody come take my hand, this world together. All through the storm. Everybody come take my hand, this world will walk together. Through the rain. But I'm a queen. Let's bring a little Detroit to town. A little bit of Radiohead. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Dirty fucking cop right there. Go ahead, pull your gun and put a bullet through my head. I'm not afraid to take a... Why did you guys have body cams? Call King County DEA, the head chief. He's the one that's going to track all those sexual girls that were trafficked right there on that plane that are going to club. You want me to name the club? Deja Vu? Everybody, there's girls from that plane going to Club Deja Vu to dance that are being trafficked from around the world. Hashtag taken. I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, this world will break together. Through the storm. Everybody, come take my hand, this world will take together. Through the storm. Everybody, come take my hand, this world will take together. Through the storm. And I can't stop living this way. I'm coming out of my cage. You want a little Detroit here?
It's over south of Newington. Okay. But yeah, I'm flying to do something. Appreciate you guys.
I wonder if that was his son. No audio here. Well, there's audio, but no real sound. People are out of their flippin' minds. Don't antagonize anyone today. Oop, misgendered.
And frankly, and this is what really pisses me off, during the pandemic, we understood that small businesses were hurting, and we helped them, and you didn't go to the Supreme Court to challenge it. Big businesses were hurting, and we helped them, and you didn't go to the Supreme Court to challenge it. All of a sudden, when it's about our students, they challenge it, the corporations challenge it, the student loan lenders challenge it. That is not right. That is not fair, and that is what we're fighting as well when we say cancel student debt.
make Americans pay for it. I can't watch that. That was one of the videos that I had shown in a... I can't watch any more of these. I'm so sick of these people. All right. Yeah. WHF Entertainment. All right. The subscriber who sent me this, thank you. The importance of shame. I think it was Marty. Yes. She's good. And I will link to her channel. And I'm going to play her video. Don't give me a copyright strike because I am promoting your channel. What was the name of her other channel? I can't remember. I can't remember anything anymore.
You know what really bothers me? When people tell me I'm being too divisive. This is like super divisive. I see what you're saying, but like, there's just no need to shame people. You should be focused on promoting unity. This approach just isn't gonna change any hearts and minds. Change hearts and minds? What do I look like to you people? A purple dinosaur?
Each and every one of you is a very special friend to me.
God, I hated that show. Can someone please tell me when thou shalt unite with criminals and sexual deviants became the 11th commandment? Or when niceness became the universal highest virtue? Anyone want to point me to where Confucius says the superior man speaks truth? Unless it offends people. I'm telling you, people have taken this divide and conquer trope so far that they're out here playing patty cake with their child's groomers. Unity is not and never will be my objective. My objective is to rid the world of evil. And you don't accomplish that by finding neutral ground with the devil. If I have to pervert the truth to convert an enemy into an ally, I've neither gained an ally nor lost an enemy. If simple, indisputable truths are enough to divide us, then division is not only acceptable, it's necessary for our survival. Honestly, human beings are so void of humility these days that they truly believe if they just find the right magic words and the perfect way to arrange them, that suddenly the whole world will fall at their feet and start acting right. No need for conflict, no need for violence, and definitely no need for any negative vibes, bro. Well, guess what, geniuses? We have an intelligent creator who's one step ahead of you. You see, he knew human beings had the potential for a morality malfunction, so he installed software right into the system to keep our behavior in check. That behavioral regulator is a little thing called shame. Shame is the emotion we feel when we behave in a manner that contradicts natural law. Its purpose is to encourage and maintain social norms. Shame is the reason a pro-abortionist rages when you show them a picture of a 10-week-old fetus. It's the same reason a freeloader jumps down your throat when you discuss the importance of diligence. Next time you see a brand new mother, walk up to her and whisper, "Breast is best." 9 times out of 10, she'll separate your head from your shoulders, bringing a whole new meaning to the word division. Shame is simply your conscience encouraging you to do the right thing. Without it, our society is free to collapse into the pits of hell, and our enemies are well aware of this. That's why it's always the first casualty in a culture war. It gets bastardized, flipped on its head, and in this case, dressed up in drag. They shame you for everything right down to your human nature, while simultaneously demanding you tolerate the unnatural. All in the name of unity. And that tolerance and fear of division is the Trojan horse that ushers in the deadliest of sins. Don't fat shame. I'm beautiful just the way I am. Don't slut shame. Back off with your purity culture. Be proud of your indiscretions. Consume as much as you can. Burn it to the ground. They deserve to be punished for their privilege. Now sit back and collect what's yours. The opposite of the 7 deadly sins is, of course, the 7 heavenly virtues. And I know what you might be thinking, but no. They weren't passed down to us just to kill our buzz. Imagine a society where we honored the giver, instead of the consumer. A society where we didn't have to debate abortion laws because our sons and daughters valued their bodies. Imagine celebrating a week of humility instead of a week of pride. People will blame poverty or oppression or privilege for the state of the world, but the average poor American has more today than they've ever had in American history. Poor used to mean no electricity and no running water. Poor today means only one television in the home and an outdated iPhone. Violence and deviant behavior aren't on the rise because people are going without. They're on the rise because we're justifying and encouraging abhorrent behavior. So if you want to win this game, you must first understand the rules. You don't need eloquent speakers to take back your country. Your enemies have nothing more than Pedo the Clown and Daddy Dementia, and they're winning by a landslide because they understand the art of war. Good, decent people who value tradition are still the overwhelming majority. So while that remains true, all you have to do is tell the truth, defend that truth, and stop treating shame like it's a design flaw.
Yeah. Did I put her channel in the chat? Her link? I'll do it again. Can't remember. It was only, a few minutes ago. So, okay. I didn't get to any weather, but we've had weather and we've had a lot of destruction just in the last 24 hours. Just in the last 24 hours. But let me clear out this window.
Our love was on the wings. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely around the fields of I watched the last star falling as the prison ships sailed out against the sky. We lived in hope and prayed for her love and money made. It's only round the fields of Athenry. Where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry.
Wow. Wouldn't it be nice to be around that kind of energy? Wouldn't it be nice to just unite and be around the kind of energy that is fighting for something, that is actually living out principles that, well, I was always kind of confused in terms of what is American culture? Do we even have any here? I mean, it really just boils down to get that good job, get that material success, and keep up with the Joneses and then surpass them. You know, what is our culture here? I don't think we have any. But yeah, I watch that stuff. I see people protesting. I see rallies. I see people coming together in other countries. And it makes me just want to cry.
Dutch farmers, their protests, and their struggle against the government imposing bankrupting restrictions on nitrogen fertilizer in the agricultural industry in the Netherlands. Now, a more cynical person would say, well, maybe this is the purpose. Well, have a look here. Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. Here it is. The plan for the Dutch farmers' land. Still think it's about the environment? Still think it's about nitrogen? Well, let me introduce to you the plan for Tri-State City. This is a giant city, urban structure that they would like to build over, well, the entire Netherlands, and branching into Belgium and into Germany here. We have this giant city being planned. If you can't see right above me, just a size comparison, this is the Greater London area, one of the largest cities in the world, will be dwarfed by this giant megalocalypse, whatever you want to call that. It sounds like an apocalypse to most people. Now, would that make a lot of sense? Hey, let's build the most grandiose city the world's ever seen right on top of the most fertile land. Well, that just seems to be how city planners do things. If you know anything about where the major cities are, they're just generally on the most fertile lands that get settled first and then built out. But these are city planners that are pushing for this. Now, this is where I first heard about this. This is on Jordan Peterson's podcast where he interviewed Michael Yon, and this is what he had to say.
This is clearly about control. Also, there's something that you never hear in any press that I've heard in the United States is the tri-state city. Tri-state city is this smart city that they're proposing to build between the tri-states are Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. So this mega city, basically, that would take up all this farmland in that area and which would bring huge amounts of more people into this area, right? So the tri-state city is something you don't hear much about, but that's another part.
Tri-state city. Tri-state. Have you heard that here in the United States? Well, I think it was yesterday's live. I showed you all of the 15-minute cities and all of the names of the cities, and it's happening in the United States. Americans, where are you? You've gone dark. Here, I just saw this tweet, an overview of 20-minute neighborhoods. This is in Scotland, Perth, Kinross. So I clicked on this link, and it brought me to this nearly 2-hour video of the 20-minute neighborhood practice network session, which was the 15th of December, just a couple of months ago. How they are planning the 15-minute cities in Scotland. And, a lot of you guys know, but it's coming, and you might want to bookmark this channel, Surf, Scotland's, what is it? Scotland's Regeneration Forum. Yay! A whole lot. 5 months ago, 20-minute neighborhood practice network session on the 29th of September. And then again on July 21st of 2022. 20-minute neighborhood conference. 20 minutes. It's happening. They're building it. They're constructing it. And the video that I posted today, let me see. That it's funny too that I get really important information from outside the country. I still have the same email. Orwell Huxley sends me good information, but I am amazed. Almost no one is circulating any information here.
Pan out if literally we just sit back and do nothing about this. Now, this young lady has it right. I want you to check this one out too.
According to the World Economic Forum website, as of May 2023, 36 countries worldwide will have smart city governance initiatives. Surveillance monitoring, analysis, reporting technology. You'll have a digital ID that will track in real time your shopping, your entertainment, your activities, and your carbon footprint. You'll also have a 15-minute travel limit without a permit. A permit to travel. And if you exceed any of these things, you'll be denied access to daily activities. Obviously, no one would move into one of these cities voluntarily, but they don't have to, because the laws governing Agenda 2030 land development allows the government to seize polluted land and move their residents to these smart cities. If you're living somewhere where your land and water is poisoned, you don't get an option to opt out. Where has land and water been poisoned recently?
Ohio, Ohio.
From a whistleblower, City of Edmonton, 15-minute cities, and they're talking about how all the lights being replaced all over the city are being replaced with smart lighting that are connected to the internet, that can listen, that can watch, and they all work together. So, how did this all happen, and how's the World Economic Forum behind it? Check this out. Philips, the world leader in connected lighting, as a catalyst for so-called smart cities. This tells you right here that these designed or work together with an open infrastructure to collect data about themselves, the environment, the people, and events. This data can be analyzed and shared via software platforms and mobile apps to save energy, streamline operations, like finding people they want, and make people feel safer and happier. So, what is Philips? Philips is the world leader in lighting. So how did they try to get it so we didn't know that they're using these lights? In 2018, Philips changed its name to Signify. Here's Signify's website. Signify is proud of the brand of Philips. Signify is also, this is the World Economic Forum partner website. So let's go down and see what Signify is all about. Right on the World Economic Forum website, you will find Signify. And what is Signify for? Signify, formerly Philips Lighting, which they admit, is to make smart lighting and connected lighting for smart cities and the 15-minute cities. As you can see, everything's connected. Wow, it gets even better. City of Edmonton, if you think I'm lying. As of 2020 to 2022, the City of Edmonton will be changing 46,000 streetlights to LEDs. These are LEDs is a euphemism for these smart trackable lights. So they're changing 82% of these of the lights in the city, and they say it's to save greenhouse gas emissions. But in reality, we know it's about track, trace, control. And now we have further proof that the World Economic Forum not only tells our government what to do, they actually provide them the companies and the means for our enslavement. And our government is more than happy to work with them and do everything they can to try to obscure it.
Remember, I've posted, so many people were posting on the lighting changes that were taking place in the United States. They've put in the infrastructure here without any resistance. Oh, pockets here and pockets there. But, hey, you know, yeah. It's just, it's become a cruel joke, this country. Why don't we listen to just a few minutes of this?
The really big thing is hacking human beings. To hack human beings, you need a lot of biological knowledge, a lot of computing power and especially a lot of data. If you have enough data about me and enough computing power and biological knowledge, you can hack my body, my brain, my life. You can reach a point when you know me better than I know myself. And once you reach that point, and we are very close to that point, then democracy, the free market as we have, and actually all political systems, also authoritarian regimes, we have no idea what happens once you pass that point.
It says, Mint Energy graphene solution can provide these energy to cell towers in the event of an outage. Graphene provides a safe and effective and environmentally friendly alternative to lithium batteries. They always tell us it's environmentally friendly, as many studies is out. Used with the solar, the battery collects power throughout the day. The unique design of the battery backup allows operators to store power for long periods of time.
All right, so that was JWTV, and I forgot to bring up his channel. So let me do that now. And you can watch the... what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Let's go here. All right. Oh. New channel for me. All right. He is posting a lot of very good information, but understand this. Every individual can be hackable already. And one has to wonder about what is taking place with Americans today, their behavior, their gross immorality, their apathy. Well, every individual also has their issues that if you don't work on and resolve, you are easily hackable, very easily manipulated by the frequency, particularly extremely low frequencies, which they send a frequency and they know the frequencies that can induce depression, anxiety, anger, rage, riotous behavior. They know all of those frequencies. They send these frequencies into a region, and a whole lot of those people's brain becomes entrained with those frequencies. So they can change people's political views. They can change people's views of family members, of friends, of acquaintances. They can do an awful lot of damage with these frequencies, which, well, I spent a whole lot of time posting videos on my research. A whole lot of people spent an awful lot of time on their research. And I did say throughout the years, you got to work on yourself to know who you are. Because if you know who you are better able to resist the entrainment and to be controlled by these frequencies. If you don't know who you are, the subtlety of the changes that occur, you won't even recognize them. You'll just think it's you when it's not. So, how many people worked on themselves? How many? If you hear a cat crying, that's little one, and he goes through periodic, these very loud, actually, that was soft, but loud, high-pitched, and he's fine. Don't think he's hurting. So, yeah, they know you better than you know yourself. They know you better than you know yourself. And when that's the case, they can easily move you about. And you're controlled. Now, with all of these nanoparticulates that we have been breathing in, the metals that we're ingesting, it's all over. It's not just in the spraying. It's in our foods. It's in the water that we're drinking. Okay, detoxing is a very important, aspect of making sure that you're not controlled. But the most important, and I think it was, all right, what's his name? The British elderly chap who was in the Royal Navy, specializing in microwaves. God, I can't stand my memory. That appears to be fading. But one of the things that he did say is the only protection is knowing who you are. So that you can, if you're sensing subtle changes in yourself, you will be able to counteract it. But that really does mean that you got to do a lot of work on yourself. And at this point, that work takes years. It takes years. It takes an awful lot of that self-reflection. And so, every day I want to be posting on what's really important, which is that individual work that we do on ourselves so that we can raise ourselves from the low road and, have that genuine care that is generative, that compels you to take action when you see injustice or suffering. Very, very important, especially now. But I also know how long it took me, and we've run out of time. Not that work is not important anymore. Every individual should be doing it for their own soul, for sure. Also for their families, their friends, their community, so that they can become trustworthy human beings. And we have really been so neglectful on the really important work. We consider ourselves to be, we're not lazy, we're hard workers. We work Monday through Friday to pay our bills. What are you, crazy? No. You go beyond that and do the really important work on yourself. And it's 8:52. Now I'm going to begin to say good night to all of you. We are out of time. Clock is running backwards. I wish it was running backwards to a couple of years ago, where I wasn't living what I'm living now. But I saw Step Down in the chat. Hello, Step Down. I was thinking today that I might keep Sundays for responding to comments and going through, which I've never been able to do because so much is going on. So, and while I do consider the personal work extremely important, what's happening to us collectively, it's very hard for me not to bring that to everybody's attention. But nobody does anything really with any of the information. So I think Sundays I'm going to do just talking. Do just talkings. It's, So much goes through my head during live and now, and I just don't say. There's a lot of people hurting in the world, and it is our job. It is our job to help those in need of help. And it's scary to me that I actually am saying that in a Christian country. Well, I see a lot of people leaving comments saying, follow Jesus. I say, you be Jesus. You be Jesus. Your heart, mind, and you go out in the world and you be Jesus. You be the change you want to see. And if you're not doing any of that, then you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I not doing anything? If you don't care, ask yourself, why? Why? Why am I not caring about all the people, my fellow Americans, who are being destroyed on a daily basis? You know, why did I make another channel? Because my channel went down. You know, if anybody clicks on Never Lose Truth 3, you will see channel has been taken down. So, oh, I know. Step down. I know. I posted a lot of those videos about what Ukraine, Zelensky were doing to the Russians in Ukraine, and anybody who voiced any disagreement with government. We're supporting essentially a Nazi government. Supporting. We're fighting Russia. The on-screen chat is delayed by 40 seconds. Okay. What doesn't say that on yours? Killer Drums. Zelensky is a joke. He's a joke. And he has made fools of all of those who actually think that he's a real president. The monsters are the ones who are pushing this war. Oh, geez. Biden, Americans, NATO. So yeah, be a force of good out in the world. Be a force of good, which means changing, which means always being a better human being in the world. You help people in your community. You help those that you know are really struggling. You get out there, and hopefully people will follow your power of example in the world. Hopefully you know some others in your community who are like-minded in that sense, and you organize efforts. So, Barbarous Angel, you think we'll win this? Really? How? How are we going to win this? How? I'm sorry, I just don't go with hope for the hopium. I can't do it. Evil is winning. Every single day I see it winning, winning, winning. So, when I see people getting out and helping others, that's when I have hope. When I see people taking action, that's when hope bubbles in me. So, you guys, also very important, stay safe. Be prepared for anything, because anything can happen. You're seeing people, and I didn't even play all of the weather videos of so many people who have lost their homes. Just in the last 24 hours. Anything can happen at any time. And a whole lot say it came out of nowhere. Yes, they can bring floods even if you're not in a flood zone. Yes, they can bring tornadoes even if you're not in Tornado Alley. Yeah, they can bring a whole lot of snow in Southern California and trap people for 10 days. They can do an awful lot of damage when they have the technology to do it. And they're doing it. So we all need to come together and help. Help out. This is not a time to be just sitting around doing the same old, same old. This is now a time to enact that change within yourself and be a soldier of good. Be a force of good out in the world. And on that note, I say stay safe and ciao.